I sued her after the decree. No, it was before. She said she doesn't get any money. No, if you read the decree, she get $50,000 at the sale of the house. She said she does not part of the case. No, every time she has a hearing, she informs her associate to come and get on the case. So she's lying, and this is a lawyer. Lawyers lie. And this woman started believing her. So anyway, I didn't get a chance to rebuttal, and that pissed me off today. She treated me like I was nothing. She treated me like I was a second-class citizen, and I had no rights, even though I had all the laws before me. I didn't violate a court order, and they have me arrested out of my house and stealing all my stuff. And I didn't violate a court order because the time they said I should vacate was June 25th, and I had a bankruptcy protection. And I tried telling her bankruptcy protection is as a shield. And she goes, what does that mean? I'm like, oh my gosh. Inside of me, I'm like, oh my gosh. She couldn't understand what a shield is when there's a temporary restraining order. Let's just say a wife gets a temporary restraining order. That's a shield. It shields her for what's in the order. When you file for bankruptcy, it shields you that creditors or lawsuits or any kind of judgments against you is stayed. It's like a brick wall. From that time you file till this decree is, till the judgment, till the bankruptcy judge signs off on your bankruptcy, there's a brick wall there. Nobody can come to you within that time. They came back in that time and says, you didn't leave during your bankruptcy, so you're in contempt. And I'm trying to tell this woman that's illegal. And she was like, and my order says they cannot do all the things, take my house, lock me out. There's no shield there. They just did it. And I read an email from the lady, one of the lead attorneys, Whitney Green, that says, we're going to do it anyway. We're going to violate Judge Williams' order the day after. Right? And I'm reading, and she's putting it on the record that we're going to violate a court order from a judge because we want to get this guy and we need to get $20,000 from his equity in his house. So they're all after my house. They're all after my house because they want the equity on my side. And the judge, Michael Snipes in family court, who has a heart for my wife, I don't mean sexually, but I mean he has some kind of favor for her, just gives her everything and signs. I wish I had the blessing that this woman had. I wish I had a judge, maybe because she's white, he's white, and he's from the Jim Crow days. He's 66 years old or something. Maybe that's his favor, and this is the person of color. Maybe that's his prejudice. Maybe she's a woman. I'm a man. Men are not supposed to get anything. Maybe that's his prejudice. But I wish I had a judge maybe who looked like me and says, yeah, Mr. Bally, what do you need? I need you to sign this. Okay, judge, sign it, and he signs it, and I go after her. But I would be in the right. I would be in the right because I have the law on my side. So anyway, that's what happened. That's what's happening. All these judges, and every judge that I go to in Dallas County, Judge Michael Snipes has a phone call to them. Every single one. He doesn't have it to the county clerk. I'm not allowed to file anything else unless he said so. And I pay him $10,000. I'm like, where did you get that from? Well, we did a vexatious on you. Well, who's the people I vexate? My ex. My ex is the person that I vexate, and I can't sue anybody else because I vexed her, and I want my share of the $1.2 million and half of the house. I got nothing. And I'm sleeping in my car, sometimes hotels, because I have limited cash. But I have to fight this battle. Whether I do it at the law library or somewhere else, all my documents, all my history, expensive computers, everything is locked in that house, and it's no longer exists because I heard from the neighbors they're just taking your stuff, Serrano. They're taking boxes of stuff out of the house. We saw equipments, all your, big equipments they took it out, all your computers. So all my evidence is destroyed. My last line of defense is you, the public. My last line of defense is God sending the right attorney at the right time. Maybe it's not the time right now, because when I was a publisher in New Jersey, I had an attorney just like that. The chief Republican retired guy who was removed from office, he would always ask me what's going on. I says, you know what? The Democrats are trying to take me out again. They filed a lawsuit because of, slander or some crap. And he says, don't worry about it. Met with a lawyer, took care of it, wipe it out. But over here in Dallas, I think God has a different plan for me. I think going after judiciary is an important and very important step to regain truth and justice in Dallas and in the court system. But I think God wants to find a way, and how do we get rid of these judges quickly? How do we identify the bad ones, the bad actors? And this is how we identify them. You have to become a victim of the system in order to break the system, and that's what happened to Jesus. He became a victim of the system, showing. And he said it best when he said, if I had not come, you'd have no sin. But now that I've come, you have no cloak for your sin. If I showed you how meticulously I presented this TRO for her to execute today, to block them, to get them out of my house, and you were sitting in a jury stand and she said denied, you would be shocked. But if you were sitting in a jury stand and I explained this to you like I did, and I explained it to a friend of mine who calls me, I said, let me ask you something. If there's a restraining order that you can't do something, right? And you did it anyway, and you knew about the order, you said, I'm just going to ignore this order and I'm going to do it. I'm going to go and whatever, steal from this person, go into the house, rip him off, do what. And the order says you can't do that, like what they did to me. No arrest, you can't do this, and they did it anyway. And then we had another hearing, and the judge says, you know what, I'm going to reiterate everything that I said because it's valid. And then I say to you, the judge even said it's valid, and this is what they did. They did exactly what the order said not to do. But then the other side argued, well, you know what? That order is expired. Because it's expired, we're not responsible for what we did when it was active. We're not responsible for it. So if we went and we seized his house, if we got the constable, and even though the order says we can't get a constable, if we stole all his property and we said, even though the order said you're not allowed to lock him out and take his property, if we did all of that, because the order expired, we can get away with what we did while the order was active. And that's what these judges are saying now. Because the order is expired, whatever they did when the order was active is dissolved, is of no effect. So they could, all the things that they stole and break and lie and order they got to take the house, what the judge is saying now is that is voided when it's the other way around. Everything they got, every order they got to seize my property when Judge Stacey Williams had a live order is actually voided. But the favored judges are just twisting it the other way around. And this is a little bit of what I'm doing is a little bit complex litigation. This is not a simple thing. This is complex, how they can twist things and make you lose when you actually have the truth in your hand to make you win. Follow the law. And they don't want to do that, and that's why I'm getting screwed in the courtroom. And people are shocked. People are shocked as, how is it they're able to get away with it? And I said, they're able to get away with it because I believe Michael Snipes or friends of him are calling up the judges and telling them to throw the cases. This is a political move. All the response that they're doing is political. But if I were to write a book, and if I were to write to the Department of Justice, and I would explain to them to this, maybe I should, they would be arrested. People would be arrested. Judges would be arrested. Judge Stacey Williams surrendered this case when she has a duty to have signed the temporary restraining order. She had a judicial duty, and she capped out because they forced her and they bullied her. And now they're trying to change it and says, Judge Stacey, who has his case, recused herself from his case. Not because of anything I did, because of what they did. Because if they never keep showing up and bullying her and pressuring her and calling her, she would have just had a normal case to deal with. And she would have signed additional TROs and would have gone to trial. The case against my ex's attorney is in trial on April 28th. But these low-level judges, who are just attorneys who they give a robe to, are telling advice to the lawyers, file a motion to dismiss it. Did you file a motion to dismiss? She did, and Judge Williams denied it. She can't file any more motions. She can't, and Judge Williams told her that. You're not allowed to file any more motions to dismiss because you had 60 days to do so. So why is this inexperienced judge, Nicole Monzo, on the 6th floor, 6B, giving it illegal advice to an attorney when my case have already been adjudicated to the point where we're going to trial? So, it's just crazy how they manipulate the laws, how they don't follow the law in Dallas County. And this is an example to show you this is true. So Judge Gina Slater's who going after tomorrow because she's been stalling. Maybe they're calling her up too and telling her to stall. I filed a default judgment against my ex in her courtroom. And the big thing that we have going on right now is I filed a federal lawsuit. But federal court is a little bit, it's another thing to do with pro se litigants. You can't afford an attorney because they got all the money. You're trying to find justice. And the system is telling you, because you don't have the finances, we're not going to give you justice. Because you can't hire a lawyer or have a lawyer with you, we can't give you justice. It's called economic discrimination. That's what they're doing. Judges are consistently saying, because you don't have a lawyer, even though you're telling the truth, we're not going to give you that kind of status. We're not going to give you that kind of truth status unless you bring a lawyer. And the lawyer is going to speak to us. And here's the truth, right? Here's the truth. But we're not going to listen to this truth unless a lawyer hands it to you. This is the truth, right? You bring the truth to us, and you got all the truth, all your facts, all your laws, everything in order, and you can win. But we're not going to give you the win until a lawyer brings it to us. The lawyer their name might be Trident. That must be a sign. So, Mr. Trident, we respect you as a lawyer, and yes, you win with all these causes. But because this guy is pro se, we're not going to give it to him. That's what's happening in the judicial system all over. And pro se people, anyways, economic discrimination that a lot of people are suffering. So what I want to do is create an organization that has lawyers within it. I just recently watched the first video of The Rainmaker. And it's an interesting concept because in The Rainmaker, there was a lady who went for pro se help. Her son was killed and they were denying it and they were hiding it and they were covering up. And then this young lawyer who hadn't even passed the bar exam yet, he kind of listened to her and realized, you know what, she might be right. She might have something. But everybody's telling her she doesn't have a case. And in that depiction, he kind of took her case. And what I want to do is I want to create an organization where I have lawyers, not as a law firm, but as a, what's the word I'm looking for? Not as a law firm, but as a network, organization, that where I have lawyers, they go on a contingency base, and we have a lot of pro se people come in, and then we look at their case and we talk to them and he says, what's going on? And if we see the angle that they're trying to screw this person, and then we see that, we can help this person. And I've learned a lot about the judges. And one of the things you have to do is you have to put the judges in check, because judges are just being malicious in Dallas County. I mean, if you're pro se, that's the first thing on their mind is they don't know the law. Even though now with AI and everything else, you can take the judge's decision, you can take the other side's objection, and you can take your case and shove it in that AI. It will calculate it, and it will tell you who was wrong. I am telling you, this is the future. It will tell you exactly who was wrong. And my ex's attorney did not serve me papers today, but she showed up in court and said she filed it, which was illegal, because they're doing all kind of stuff because I'm pro se, right? If I were to take her filing, put it with my filing, and put it with the judge's analysis and decision, I guarantee you I will win. I will win, because I do it ahead of time. But this is the future of finding out how do you know who's right or wrong. So we can use all of that to take the person's complaint, facts, evidence, take the defendant's case, facts, evidence, take the law, and then take the judge's mindset and then put it into one, and it can actually tell you how this case is going to go. I know how every one of my cases is going to go, because eventually I asked back the AI system, I said, what do you think the judge, like in my federal case, I had like 61 counts of damages that they did to me in this county. 61. I mean, it was just enormous. And I fed into one of the AIs and they told me, you will surely get dismissed. The federal judge will this is just a mess. I thought I had it right. I did it with like ChatGPT and I put it all in order. And this new AI told me this is going to be dismissed in 2 seconds. I said, okay. And I asked a question, well, how can we change this? And he says, well, break it down from 61 to 5. I said, to 5. Okay. So I said, you do it for me and tell me if the judge is this is going to be foolproof. And they did it. But in the background, they explained everything. But then they only gave me 5 cause of action. But then I asked, so what about, not negligence. What about, they walk into my house and they start stealing stuff and destruction of property and, evidence, destruction of evidence. And certainly, yes, if they had a void order from Judge Williams' order saying they're not supposed to do this and they're in there, that's a good case. And this is the same one who told me you can't do 61. And I said, okay, well, then prepare an answer for me. And they prepared the answer for me, the cause of action. And then I took it to the other area and I said, tell me if this is going to get kicked out. And then they go, absolutely not. It will not. Is a well-formed pleading that shows exactly that they were not authorized. They were void by the appeal. They were void by Judge Michael Snipes since he was not properly put back on the case. They went back into everything he did wrong. They went back into the appeal. They went back. He should never have another trial. And they went back into the false testimony of my ex. And they went into a whole bunch of stuff. And they said, this is all correct. And that's how I analyze my ex's attorney. I analyze her response. I analyze what the judge says. I analyze myself. And then I ask, what is the best scenario here? And I file that scenario. And that's how I know I'm the law. And sometimes these things give me law I didn't even know about. So I said, tell me how this law affects this case. Well, the law affects this case because they cannot dismiss this case based on this. And here's why. Because the judge, Michael Snipes, was not properly back on this case, every ruling he makes is voice. Because there's pending appeals, he loses plenary power to proceed with this case, but yet he's still doing it because these are appealed cases. And because the statute of limitations to respond was more than 6 months, he could not have had that trial. And a few other things they give me. And then I analyze that and tell me, what would a judge do with this answer that you gave me? And I put in my input. Here's what my ex did. Here's what Michael Snipes did. And then they analyze it and they give it back to me. So what I want to do is I want to have lawyers. If you're a lawyer, you can contact me, come into play. And, maybe we'll find a big case like The Rainmaker, because at the end of that depiction, they got $80 million. And so it's not hard for me. It's not hard for me to analyze. Like today when I went in, as soon as I saw that judge, I'm like, oh my God. A young lawyer who they gave a robe to. I knew crap was going to happen to me. And then because she's a lawyer and that's a lawyer, I knew they were going to babysit each other. And that's exactly what they did. And I'm like, wait a second. She's lying. But I couldn't say that. This one had already made her mind up. So I had a feeling, just like when Kim Cook came in to put Michael Snipes back without any order, I have a feeling somebody called this judge and says, just dismiss this case. Just dismiss this motion because I need this. So I do have a federal case on everybody. I even included the appeals court that I found problems with. The appeals court is holding emergency motions for 2 weeks. 2 weeks emergency motion that this guy is not supposed to be prosecuting cases. And so they were all in this together. So we have a federal court that's going to analyze all of this and see what happens. And then for the bankruptcy, we have an adversary complaint that is going to trial in April. God knows what he's going to be doing. And I asked for a jury trial. And what motions they're going to file. Because the law office on the other side is called Carrington, Coleman, Sloman, and Burlington or something like that. Somebody told me they were shady. They're a shady law firm. And so they're doing shady stuff. Anyway, this is an interesting time in Dallas County, and I'm here, and I'm going to make sure that I continue to fight and keep fighting. I don't care if I'm living in my car in a hotel or by friends. I don't care where it is. I am going to keep fighting because this woman thinks the most dangerous person to me I thought was politicians or judges or lawyers. It turns out is the woman right there wearing the ring. Turns out to be the most dangerous. She's the one causing all of this. She's the one greedy for money. She grew up in a trailer park. I understand it was hard for you. You grew up in poverty. But there's no reason if you take your husband and try to put him in jail just because you want an additional $80,000 to pay your attorney's fee. and you already walked away with 1.2 million, all of it. And that's what the federal court is going to look at. Gender discrimination. If the roles were reversed, will I be able to put her in jail? And so that's one of my causes of action there. I'm going to do gender discrimination. I have a whole big thing on that coming for all the men that get treated brutally like me. But if you think I'm going to stay down, her selling out all my stuff was basically vindictive. And I'm going to close with this. She wanted to see me suffer because when she left with a rich man she was living for, or whoever she was dating, it didn't turn out right. The grass was not greener, it turned into mud. And she got, according to my neighbor, she got heavy and she got older and a little more unattractive. When she was with me, she was vibrant and bright, her eyes like diamonds, her hair was glistering. And now it's all faded. So as a narcissist, during my entire marriage, and like I said, I don't want to get into this too much, I was bullied, I was demeaned, she had to be the boss, she had to be in control of everything. And she ordered them to sell all my stuff because she lost control. She lost control of me. She lost control of punishing me. She lost control of telling me what to do. And she knows the last thing that I like is all my clothes, my suits, my equipments, everything, media, my history. And she felt if she destroyed that, she would control my emotions because I'm going to be pissed off. I'm going to be angry. No. I turned it to God and I said, if I have to lose all of this, let it be by your hands and not hers. And so she still didn't get the satisfaction of making me upset, angry, and relating to her doing it. That's been our history for 23 years. If you can do this to your own husband, try getting into the kingdom of God because he's going to remember. But anyway, that's the legal things, and those are the nexus of where it came from. The root of the problem is you marry the wrong person, or you have the wrong business partner, or you roommate with the wrong person. Whatever it is, you have to make sure that you're always financially independent. And that's what I didn't. I was so much trying to make her happy and looking out for her life. I didn't redo my business in Dallas. And I told her it was going to be difficult, and she didn't care. But I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to tell you what's going to happen in a different video, what's going to be my plan tomorrow. But that's what's happening. That's the nexus of what's happening, and that's the corruption and the incompetence that is happening right now in the Dallas District Courts and Family Court. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.